Welcome to the last sitting with Spirit of season 1. It's so bittersweet. I'm such a nostalgic Scorpio. It's so hard for me to just let go and let things die away so that the new can be reborn. I'm like, not season 1 ending.
I'm so the same way. And it's so funny too, because that's how we have new beginnings is endings. But my brain just will not allow.
I know. I'm like, no. So the very first thing, so for those of you who are new to the podcast, sorry, we're about to go on a break. For those who are new, Sitting with Spirit is the section of the podcast where I sit with our angels and guides and I give the messages that come through for the collective. Take what suits you and resonates with you, leave the rest. So one of the very first things I saw was a bow and arrow pointed all the way up, straight up. And it felt very connected to the Sagittarius season archer archetype, where it's our job to shoot for the stars, and where the arrow lands is literally none of our business. And the message that I got was aim high. And I felt like there was just this feeling here of don't worry, because as I was seeing this bow and arrow going up to the sky, I couldn't even see where it would land. I couldn't see where it was going. I couldn't see the target. It just felt like shooting in the right direction. And so I think that's the message here is aim high. Aim for shooting in the direction of your highest expression of power and love and joy and magic, and let the arrow land where it's going to. And as I got that image, I felt this sense of what best could be described as quiet faith, quiet confidence. And I felt like that part of our heart that deep down knows all will be well is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And it's that part of us that allows us to shoot high. It's that part of us that deep down knows that we are loved and supported and powerful and all will be well, that allows us to not settle and allows us to continue to explore this beautiful realm of the unknown, which is the realm of creation, just like we were saying with the end of season 1. So shoot high and know that that quiet confidence in yourself is so powerful. And that quiet confidence in yourself is the archer. That quiet confidence is the one that's able to draw the bow back and have enough confidence to let it go and shoot your shot. And the beautiful thing about a bow and arrow is that you can shoot again. If the arrow doesn't land where you want, you can keep shooting. So that's beautiful. And I just felt this warmth in the face and this joy. And again, we were coming into this deeper level of our power. And when I feel warmth in the face, it's my sign for phoenix energy and a rebirth moment. And I was seeing a baby, and it gave me a feeling like we're in this moment of new things being born, new versions of self being born, the warmth of newness. And it feels exciting. So keep going with that. And then I saw a really interesting image and I was doing everything in my power for my mind not to interpret it. But it was a table with two very different types of people sharing a meal. And the word that came through was reconciliation. And it gave me a feeling that there was something about breaking bread with people that you disagree with or that you have been distanced from. There's something about coming together, unity and healing. So that might be on the macro as well as the micro. This might be a time for healing wounded relationships or coming together in a way, or reconciling with someone you haven't seen in a long time. This might also be a bigger message for the collective of finding our commonalities and banding together in a way that serves us all as a collective. And then I also got such a delightful message. It was a question mark, but the question mark was so exciting. So it's almost like when we have questions or there's unknown things or we don't know what's coming, that's a blessing. It's exciting. Instead of seeing those question marks as oh my gosh, fear, scary, what's going to fill it? And so in my readings, when I see a lot of question marks around people, it's my sign for, a lot of overthinking, a lot of unknowns, feeling out of control. But then in this reading, it was the question marks were exciting, invitations to traverse the unknown, openings in your life for something exciting to fill it, and to be excited by the question marks, to be excited by the unknowns instead of desperately trying to fill them or cling on to outcomes. I also wanted to share on a little bit of a deeper level a message that came through in a mediumship reading I did a couple days ago that at the time my guides were like, share this on the next Sitting with Spirit. And this is that mental illness is just as real as physical illness. And that sometimes when we talk about mental illness, there's an interesting sense of guilt that comes along with it. Like, I should have just been stronger, or I should have not been so XYZ. Like, there's something about like victim shaming and blaming that we don't do when it comes to cancer or a physical illness. Nobody would be like, I just had to be more mentally resolved with cancer. It's like everybody supports people with physical illness because there's evidence on the external of the illness, but mental illness is no different. And in that reading, I saw this like childhood wound that was growing like a tumor in the brain that was causing mental illness. And it was a traumatic experience and it led to depression. The feeling there that I wanted to share is like, if you're struggling with mental illness or you love someone that is struggling with mental illness, be a lot lighter with yourself like you would be if it was a physical illness, because there can be a tendency to blame ourselves or want the person that's struggling to just snap out of it. That's not how illness works. And it's just as real as physical illness. And there's no one to quote unquote blame. That's not the point of this message. The point of this message is to treat it the same way you would treat somebody with a physical illness, and to not take it on as, oh, if I just did X, Y, and Z, they would still be here today, or they wouldn't have taken their life, or whatever it is. Because I think as a medium, when I sit with people who have lost a loved one to suicide, there's a lot more shoulda, coulda, woulda than people who pass from a heart attack or things like that. And the message from the spirit world so strong is there's no difference between those types of illnesses. It's all part of the physical body malfunctioning, and don't treat it any differently. And there's nothing you could have done about it. So that's a message that I wanted to share, especially as we come into the darker part of the year. I know this episode is coming out the week of the winter solstice, which is a very powerful time for mediumship and connections to past loved one. It's also a time of year where people who have seasonal depression can really struggle with their mental health. So take care of your mental health just like you would your physical health. Like, mental health is really coming up as a message here. And I feel this kind of push-pull between excitement and newness and shooting your shot, and question marks as invitations for excitement. But then there's also this like deeper level of tend to your mental health just like you would your physical. It's like exactly the same. When you have a mental and physical illness, it's like there's the manifestation of that. And then there's also preventative care for both. And so just tend to your mental health. I did have a woman in spirit coming through, and she was fabulous. She was so fun to connect with. She would have been very stylish, and she would have loved like bold prints and patterns. She was like jingling her arms that had like a ton of different bangles on them. And I feel like this woman would have kind of been like a firecracker. She looked very thin to me and willowy. And she also had blonde hair. And she showed me that she was obsessed with birds, and I felt like she had like a cockatoo or a parakeet. Like, I don't know exactly what she was showing me, but it's one of those like birds that are really beautiful. It was white. It had like a ruff of feathers, and that like she like loved her bird, and that her bird would just be like flying around the living room and like landing on her and like talking to her, and that like this woman really marched to the beat of her own drums. It feels like this would have been like an aunt type of vibe, or even if she wasn't your aunt, it's like aunt like that kind of energy. She feels very fun. It feels like she was never married. I feel like she was involved with like a much older man, but like they never got married because her independence and freedom was important to her. And I feel like there just like is this feeling with her of firecracker energy, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do and like march to the beat of my own drum. She feels very Aquarius to me in that way, in the good way. And then I also saw a cancer ribbon around her, and I did feel like she would have passed of cancer. And I did feel even her journey with cancer, I saw her in like a stylish headscarf and like a stylish hospital gown. It's like she still had her flair through the very end. And she really wanted to highlight that like she never let it get the best of her light and her energy. And then for some reason, she was showing me a pair of pants that were like black and white zebra stripes. And I felt like there might be a photo of you and her in those pants, or something about those pants being significant, and you would know her by her black and white pants. And so her message is basically be you. In a world full of gray and people trying to be everyone else, be you. Because this woman really feels like an individual to me. It feels like her life didn't make sense to the people around her and that she did not care. Like she literally was just having fun dancing through life and, you know, loved her birds and loved her wine and was just doing her thing. And so her message is like, life is too short not to have fun. Be you. And in a world full of people conforming and being gray, don't be afraid to be a hot pink streak within that. And I do feel like there's just a feeling of cheer up, don't sweat the small stuff. I know that message has come forward before, and it's not that she's saying don't feel your feelings. And I also feel like there is a tie to bingo with her, and I feel like you might have played bingo with her, going to a bingo hall. It just feels like she liked to have fun. And the last message I want to give from her is that one of the best ways that you can honor your ancestors is to live your most fun, full life. That's what she's saying on the other side. It's like, that's what makes me happy, not when you cry for me, when you live the best qualities of me through you, which is my fun and my authenticity. And so none of our past loved ones in spirit want us to suffer. And I know sometimes we can have this guilty feeling, and the holidays can bring up a lot of grief where it's like, oh, it's a dishonor to their memory if I'm living a good life without them here, because that means I'm not like honoring them, or I didn't love them if I can be happy without them here. But her message is the exact opposite of that. Like, no, actually, we love to see you lit up and being a streak of hot pink in a world full of gray. That makes your past loved ones in spirit so happy. And so I feel like overall, the messages today are very Sagittarian and very much about just having fun, marching to the beat of your own drum. And just don't forget to aim your arrow high. And the more you strengthen your nervous system, your ability to trust, your ability to loosen the reins of control, and that little higher self voice that whispers that all will be well, the higher you can aim your arrow and the more confidence you have to shoot your shot.
Such a beautiful message for us here at the end of the year. Just resonated so deeply with all of it, particularly the arrow. I just loved that. I feel like I'm in a moment right now where I'm wishing for a version of what I want that isn't like the highest version of it. You know, it's the one I can see. So it was a good reframe to choose instead, not for what is almost what we want, but what about shooting for what we truly, what is beyond our wildest dreams of what we want, and trusting that all will be well. And like you said, you can shoot another arrow if you need to. And I also just loved what you spoke about with mental illness, because I think even to a degree, like sometimes the word illness, when it comes around that, can even make some of us not even realize that we fall under that category too. Like we all have these wounds and things that we can work through to have a more fulfilling, heart-led life. And something I'm really trying to trust into is like, we might know logically how to not be this way or how to fix this thing, but it's also like a journey to shift ourselves. Just like it would be to heal our physical body, it takes some time to heal our mental space as well, even once we become aware of the way to heal. So just being gentle with yourself as you're on that journey. And I know the holidays can bring up a lot of stuff. So I just loved imagining this fun aunt in spirit, you know, encouraging us to not sweat the small stuff and to really be us.
Yeah. And I think also past generations, of course, no generation is perfect, and a lot of stuff that can be better with every generation, including our own. But there's something about her too that's like living through hard times, but still seeing what our grandparents lived through and like their ability to still have fun and things like that. There's something there that I feel like she's trying to communicate of like, even through the darkest times or like the most challenging times, you can still find ways to incorporate more fun and play and be in control of your own light. Don't let the macro decide what your light level will be. You shine your brightest, and it will give permission to other people to do the same.
Absolutely. It's such a gift to be in your full, authentic self to yourself and everyone around you.
Absolutely. And I feel like the arrow shooting high also really resonates with me now that I'm thinking about it, because it's like that's what I'm doing with Angels and Amethyst 2.0. I'm daring to shoot my shot in a different direction and have faith of where the arrow is going to land. And I feel really grateful for that.
Yeah, it's like what you have already is amazing and beautiful, and you could stay in that. But there is a dream even more brilliant that you're allowing yourself to dream, and the possibilities by choosing to dream that big become even more expanded. And it's so exciting. I'm so excited for you and all of us because we get to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm really excited to create a container that when you're on the other side of it does a similar thing to a one-on-one session with me, where you have more clarity and rootedness and connection to your own angels and guides and validation. And I'm just so excited to have the space to continue to flesh out what that will be. So, all of you hummingbirds, we are all coming into our 2.0 version, or maybe 3.0, 4.0, 5.0. But just like, Claire and I, Angels and Amethyst, Magic Hour, we're ending season 1. Like, let's all collectively set an intention for season 2 and us 2.0, and what that intention word is that we're shooting with our bow and arrow into the stars, and then just let go of everything else and just put in your currency, which is time, to what you want to create.
Mm, I love that. Thank you, Taylor. I will definitely be doing that.
Yeah, so much love, everyone. I'm so excited to connect with you all in 2025. Find my new offerings at angelsandamethyst.com. And if you're looking for some angelic connection, take one of my pre recorded workshops, whether it's the Be Your Own Angelic Intuitive, Healing the Witch Wound, working with your angels to attract a soulmate connection. Code 333 gives $33 off. And while the podcast is on a break, it's a perfect time for you to go at your own pace journey of deeper connection.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great idea and a great gift to give yourself over the holidays.
Yes, it's a great gift for yourself or the witchy person in your life that is connected to this kind of thing. So it's the gift that keeps on giving, because it will put you into alignment with your angels and guides, and then everything else will have a domino effect from there. So really exciting. And I'm just really excited to see you all back in season 2. So happy holidays. Have a beautiful new year, and we will see you on the other side, my loves.